Tonight, I turn into Robin Hood. I learn to play the piano and I catch a fish. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we will be getting the Platinum Trophy for The Walking Dead, the final season. And this will finally wrap up Clementine's story. And what a story it has been. There are 49 trophies required for the Platinum, with 33 trophies being missable.
I beg you.
So I had to complete each episode while also grabbing all collectibles, completing all misable trophies and sometimes reloading a save to pick a different choice to get a trophy. As always, if you enjoy the video, leave a like, comment what games you want to see next and subscribe. So we begin our journey this time with Clem and AJ in a car, and it's been a few years since A New Frontier. So at least AJ isn't a child that would have been stressful. But we pull over to a nearby abandoned house in the hope of finding some food and supplies. It's here where we see that AJ picks up on what we tell him, so if he turns out to be a twat, it's entirely my fault. We then enter the house and find that there is a couple of walkers tied to a chair, so obviously I kill them both and take the key off their bodies to enter the locked room in search of food. We then manage to find a trapdoor, and once it's open we see that there is lots of food inside and also a grenade fucksake. So the noise attracts all the walkers, and that's our cue to hit the road. So me and AJ take out a few walkers while heading to the car, but once inside we are surrounded, and walkers are breaking into the car, and me and AJ are doing our best to pick them off.
I have had it with these motherfucking
Walkers.
On this motherfucking
Car.
Everybody strap in.
But as they are breaking in, the car is moving, and this causes another crash. Think that's the third car Clem has ruined in these games. Maybe just stick to walking, but someone then grabs AJ before I pass out. I then wake up in an unknown room and AJ isn't here, so I get up and try find him. But once outside the room, I see someone approaching, so I quickly hide, and once he sees the door is open, I tell him to drop his knife. But I get hit with the Uno reverse and see his friend has a bow drawn on me.
Well. How the turntables...
So I drop the knife, and he reveals himself. So this is Marlon and Tennessee. They then lead me outside, and we see this is a walled-off school area, which has been left alone this entire time. We then get introduced to this freak Willie, before we head inside and try to find AJ. But we then bump into Ruby. Yes, there's a lot of characters try to keep up. Turns out AJ bit her in the hand, so this whole raising a kid thing is going well. But we are finally reunited with AJ, and it's here where I decide to tickle him, and this gets us the first trophy of the video. I promise they aren't all this easy. So we then have a quick conversation with Louis here, before he gives us our knife back, plus our trusty cap and AJ's gun. But we then have to head outside, as the rest of the group are out hunting, and need us to help them get back inside unharmed. This is where we meet Violet. She never smiles and is sarcastic, and that's her entire personality. So we all head out together and start picking off walkers, and it's here where we see again that Clem is still taking them out at the knee first, like Jane taught her. But we then use a few of the log and rock traps the group has set up to defend the area. And this gets us another trophy for using all the traps on walkers. The hunting party head back, and we meet Brody, Mitch and Asim. But we all manage to get back inside safely. Once inside again, we then make AJ apologize to Ruby because I don't feel like getting kicked out just yet, and after talking to a few more of the kids, we get another trophy for talking to everyone at Diner. While eating, we basically just get to know all the characters a little bit better by playing a game where whoever draws the lowest card has to answer a question. So this basically just triggers Clem's PTSD as she tells them everything she has done. But me and AJ finally head back to our new room, and after convincing AJ to sleep on the bed and not the floor, honestly, this kid's insane.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
We get another trophy for completing Act 1 in Chapter 1. Me and AJ then head up to Marlon's office the next day to talk. And it's here where we meet Rosie the dog. And before this dog can chew off Clem's other arm, Marlon enters the room. It's here where I decide to trust him and trust Rosie not to kill me. And this leads to us getting another trophy for trusting Rosie. We then have a look at the map, and we see that Marlon needs us to head out and do some hunting, so we can either go with Violet or Lewis. So I go with Violet and Brody to do some spear fishing. So me and AJ head inside the hut to find the spears. And once inside, I get another trophy for finding a love heart. Seriously, what are these trophies? So once outside, we start to do some fishing. And after making sure I catch all 3 fish, this gets me another trophy. Once we are finished, we then start to head back and find that someone has disabled all the traps made by the group, which means that people are nearby. We then meet Louis and Asim again, and realize we don't have much food. So I take AJ, Violet and Louis to head back to the train station at the start, because it had tons of food. We then arrive later that night, and we see that the place is surrounded with walkers. So we make Louis climb up high and create a distraction, while the rest of us head inside to get the food. We then sneak past, while also having to kill a few walkers, and this allows us to get inside undetected. Once inside, AJ starts to pass me the food up from the trapdoor, and I load them into some bags.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
But it's here where a man shows up and has me at gunpoint. AJ then pops up and both of them start pointing their guns at each other.
Okay. Everybody just calm down. Count of 3.
So to save AJ, I push him and it's here, where he gets grabbed by some walkers and dragged out the window. We then grab the bags and make a run for it, while telling Louis to do the same. But we all manage to make it out with the food. So we then head back and finally arrive back at the school. And after showing everyone how much food we have, the mood in the camp has been lifted. Everyone but Brody seems to be happy, and she is freaking out for some reason. Little bit strange.
But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
But we then sit down with 10, and he draws for us, and this gets us a trophy for gathering all collectibles in Chapter 1. And also we get another trophy for completing Act 2 in Chapter 1. We then enter our room again, and get another trophy for placing all collectibles from Chapter 1 in our room. I then get woken up in the middle of the night by some loud shouting and echoes. And after finding where the noise is coming from, we see that the door is locked. So not one to be stopped, I head outside and break the lock on the cellar door, and once inside hear Marlon and Brody arguing. I then confront them both, and it's here, where Brody tells us that Marlon gave Tennessee's sisters away to another group, in exchange that they leave them alone. So Marlon hits her and splits half her face open. She then tells us that Marlon planned on giving me and AJ to this group.
What the fuck did you say?
It's literally nothing.
And it's here, where Marlon does a runner and decides to lock us in the basement. Which isn't good, because 1, it's pitch black, and 2, Brody is going to turn. Oh, and what do you know, Brody's body has moved. I then find the flashlight, but it's not working properly, and... Oh fuck. Of course she had to be there. It's okay though, I've nearly got out. Oh, give me a break. So we managed to get on top of Brody and crush what's left of her head with the flashlight, finally killing her for the second time. Once outside, we see AJ has pulled his gun on Marlon because AJ stands on business.
You're goddamn right.
But Marlon tries to spin it and say that I killed Brody. But no one believes him, and he grabs the gun off AJ. But Louis comes to our aid and tells Marlon to drop the gun, and the rest of the group are siding with us. So it's now my turn to grab the gun and wrestle it off Marlon. Finally, that whole ordeal is over. Oh my days, AJ, what did you just do? Good shot though. This gets me a trophy for completing Act 3 of Chapter 1. I then get 2 trophies for reloading a save and beating a walker with a bat Javi style, and also for shooting both rabbits while hunting. So the morning after, I basically tell AJ he was in the right to shoot Marlon, because I mean he was being a wee bit of a twat, so. But we both then decide to attend Brody and Marlon's funeral, and it's after this, where the rest of the group decide they are going to vote to see if we are allowed to stay or not.
You people should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am, because you need me. You need me to save you.
So Violet then tells us that the group voted that we should leave. Fuck, you guys didn't like it here anyway. But Louis and Violet will escort us just outside the safe area to make sure we are okay. Once they leave us, we then bump into the man from the train station. So I then attack the one-armed man and drop him on his ass. But before I can finish him, his partner has me at gunpoint, and after knocking me over, we see that his partner is none other than Lily from the first game, the woman who shot Carly for no reason. But while we are having our big reunion, Violet and Louis sneak up behind them, and I shout for Violet to shoot at her, which gives me and AJ the chance to make a run for it, and we manage to get away. But AJ has been hit with some buckshot, so I start killing walkers to protect him until this walker grabs me and starts talking. Me and the talking walker then decide to get the buckshot out of AJ before it gets worse. So Clem is back to being a doctor again.
Surgeon! Dr. Hahn! I am a surgeon!
After that, we see that he is called James and is a whisperer, which is a group of people who disguise themselves as walkers to move around silently. He then helps me get AJ back to the school before he leaves again. Louis then rushes out and helps me bring him inside. Once inside, Ruby says she will be able to take care of him. But it's here where me and Violet have a quick conversation about how we can protect the school from Lily and her gang. So we use a map of the school to plan our defenses, and we plan on using barbed wire to stop them climbing over and forcing them into a choke point where we can fire at them. So I then partner up with Mitch and Ruby to go to the greenhouse to find the barbed wire. Once there, I obviously draw the short straw and get sent inside to deal with the few walkers inside, which I managed to do with no trouble at all. I then let them inside. It's here where I get a trophy for eating a dodgy mushroom. I then break open the cabinet, and inside has all the barbed wire we need, plus fertilizer, which Mitch says he can use to make bombs, so our defense is looking a bit better now. We then head further inside where I get ambushed again. But I then put the walker, who used to be a teacher in the school, out of her misery. I then get a trophy her for grabbing all collectibles in Chapter 2, and another trophy for interacting with everything in the greenhouse. I then find her igniter, which Mitch says he can use to well ignite the bombs. We then get another trophy for finishing Act 2 of Chapter 2. I then quickly check in on AJ before getting another trophy for placing all the collectibles from Chapter 2 inside our room. Then get a time jump of 2 weeks, showing us how long we have been waiting for Lily and her group, but also that AJ is healing from his wound.
One eternity later.
Once outside, you can see the place is ready to be defended. So we quickly check on Mitch and his bombs before petting Rosie the dog. This gets us another trophy for petting her, and also another trophy for checking up on all the defenses and making sure we are ready. I then check in on Hawkeye here, and as we can see, it's not going well. So I take his bow and show him how it's done. It was incredibly easy. But this gets us another trophy for not missing a shot. Later that night, Clem and Louise are alone, and it's here where I had to drop Riz, I promise. Lads, it was for the trophy. Everyone relax. So after flirting some more, I get a trophy for being in a relationship, but I also reloaded the save and got the other trophy for rejecting him and staying friends. It's okay, Louis. I know what it's like to be rejected. Back outside, me and AJ are keeping an eye out, and it's here where we see some of Lily's group outside our walls.
So it begins.
So we are then going over the plan one more time with everyone. And Omar has been shot in the leg, fuck's sake, we have no luck. So I drag him to cover, while also grabbing my bow and getting into position. But Lily and her group just kicked the door in so much for the defenses. I then draw my bow on her to distract them long enough for Mitch's bomb to go off. So we start mouthing off at each other, but Lily then says that one of 10 sisters, Minnie, is still alive, and this makes him leave cover. Mitch's bomb then goes off, and Mitch then dashes over to kill Lily, but that goes well.
No. Anyway, last week.
So I finally shoot someone with his bow, while the rest of the group all retreat back inside the main building. They follow us inside, and it's here where we use more of our traps to kill another raider. But they start to burn us out, so me and AJ flee inside a room. But Abel here has other ideas, but I'm not going quietly. So after a back and forward fight, I stab him in the eye, and AJ slashes his leg before I push him out onto the balcony. But while knocking him off, he pulls me down with him. Oh great. I wake up with Lily's gun in my face. Before she can kill me, Violet tackles her to the ground, but both Violet and Louis are being taken away, so I decide to save Louis. They then flee with our people, but walkers overrun the school, so it's time to put the archery to the test, and I kill several walkers. And this gets me a trophy for only using the bow, so we plan on getting our people back. And we have just the man who is going to tell us how isn't that right, Abel. This gets us the trophy for finishing Act 3 of Chapter 2. We then start Chapter 3 down in the basement, where after petting Rosie again, we get another trophy for it. But it's here where we have to interrogate Abel to find out where they took our people, so I let AJ wake him up. So I use the old good cop, bad cop on him, and one minute I'm nice, the next, I'm a total dick, and this makes him give up the location, but also a password which will be useful later on. I then kill him so he doesn't turn. We then arrive at the location he told us, and it's a massive boat, so we scout the area to see any weaknesses and how many guards, and this gets us another trophy for spotting everything. So Clem then thinks of using James to lure walkers up to the boat and use them so we can infiltrate the boat and save our people. But while heading to go do that, we find a lone raider on her own. So we sneak up behind her with our knife and quickly ask her how many guards there is. But it's here where Lewis reveals that this is 10's sister Minnie. Minnie then tells us that the boat leaves in 2 days, so we need to act quick so it appears she is on our side. Me and AJ then leave to find James and put our plan into action. But once we arrive at his camp, we see it has been overrun by walkers, James then appears and says he needs to find his mask. I mean, just make another one, there's hundreds of walkers around, but okay. He also asks that I don't kill any of them, so I start taking them out at the knee and then running for my life. But we then use a cart to create a loud noise so he can find his mask without distraction. I then get a trophy for not killing any walkers. He then finds his mask, but also decides to lead us to this barn to show us something. I then get a trophy for interacting with the salt lick, and I didn't lick it, I promise.
I understood that reference.
I also get another trophy for finding all of Chapter 3's collectibles. James then shows us his massive Pokemon collection of walkers. He then makes me put on the mask and walk among them, as he is trying to convince me that they are still people. So I hit the wind chime, and they all stare at it. Yeah, James. Because noise equals food for them, duh. I then tell him it's a bunch of nonsense, but he still agrees to lead the herd towards the boat. This gets us a trophy for completing Act 1 of Chapter 3. Me and AJ head back to our room, and once inside get another trophy for placing all Chapter 3 collectibles inside our room. James clearly has had an effect on AJ, as he is talking crazy about how if I get bitten, he wants to become a walker as well. Kenny did not get eaten alive just so AJ can become a walker, so I tell him to shut it, and he runs off in a huff. Fuck, this parenting stuff is hard. So we then throw a party for some reason, and it's here where Ruby reads out everyone's reasons for being her, because it is a school for troubled youth after all. We find out Ruby used to be a complete nutter. Oh, Willie, why don't you tell us why you're here?
Dude, no.
Chronic masturbation.
So Louis then tells us that he caused his parents to divorce. What a little twat. So after that we all go to sleep. This gets us a trophy for everyone just sleeping bit weird. Wait, why am I on a train as young Clem? Oh shit, is that who I think it is? 10 out of 10 game, I don't care. So we then have a heart-to-heart with Lee, and as always, he is giving the best advice. So obviously I hug Lee again, which is like hugging my past self, but I'll let you enjoy this part.
Wow. Just look at you. Just look at you.
We then say goodbye to Lee for the last time. Well, after crying my eyes out, we then end up outside the boat with everyone. James then appears with all the walkers and it's here, when we have to cut a walker open and cover ourselves in guts to join the herd. So we then slowly approach the boat while using the walkers as cover, but eventually me, AJ and Lewis manage to get ourselves close enough. So we use the pier to sneak our way closer to the entrance, but before we can enter, some walkers manage to get past the guards, so I take them out with the bow. This gets me a trophy for not getting grabbed by a walker, and also another trophy for completing Act 2 of Chapter 3. Once on board, we sneak our way past a few guards, and then once confronted, use the password we got from Abel to avoid conflict, and this gets us another trophy for using the password. I then kill a guard with a shot to the neck, before we plant the bomb in the boiler room to blow up the boat. After this, me and Minnie have a debate over which is better, the bow or the crossbow, but eventually she lets us past so we can get our people out and escape. So I then enter the cell and try to get Violet out, and of course Minnie has betrayed us. Violet then blames everything on me. Yeah, shut it. I then interact with the scratch marks in the cell, and this gets me another trophy for doing just that. Lily then shows up with her gun and threatens me a few times, so I say her hair looks shit. So they go to cut off Louis' hand, so AJ jumps in for a last-minute rescue and goes full Mike Tyson and bits her ear off. Lily then takes AJ as she thinks she can turn him into a child warrior for them. So I then break down the weakened door and let Louis free before Minnie attacks me. Louis then accidentally shoots a guard, and I use this chance to knock out Minnie. I then head topside to rescue AJ, and we see that they have James and Ten here as well. So I then charge at Lily and knock a gun from her hand. As we begin fighting over the gun, I pull my knife, but she manages to disarm me, so AJ lifts it and stabs her in the leg. I then decide that's not good enough and boot the knife, opening up more of her leg. AJ then gets the gun, and after I tell him to kill her, he full-on dumps a full magazine into her. But just as this happens, the bomb blows up. We get another trophy for completing Act 3 of Chapter 3. I then wake up just in time, and no way, I just lost my hat, can I catch a break please? So I then save AJ before he falls into a walker-infested river, and then we both jump off the boat and make it to sort of safety. I then get attacked by a guard, but he's blind, so I use the arrow he missed to stab him in the foot, then take my bow back and headshot him, before we both run away from the exploding ship. I then wake up again, and this time it's Louis who saves me. I then decide to quickly save Violet, and turns out she is half blind. I then tell everyone to run for the horses to escape while I cover them with my bow, so we do just that, and no idea how Clem is so gold with the bow, but anyway. We then see that Minnie just got bitten, but she decides to throw a grenade at us, and this sound scares the horses away, so we are left on our own. Not for long, however, as me and AJ find 10, and we all flee away from the walkers. This is where we find James, and we all decide to enter a nearby cave to escape the herd. Once inside, we then use a log to try cross the water, but the walkers are pouring in, so we have to be quick, so obviously I go last and just about manage to cross. James then goes mad and decides he is taking AJ with him, because he doesn't want AJ to turn into a murderer. Oh, so stealing a child is how to stop that smart one, James. AJ then tells me he enjoyed killing Lily honestly, who raised this kid. Oh wait. I then talk some sense into James before he finally decides to leave us alone, and then the rest of us find an exit to the cave. This gets us a trophy for completing Act 1 of Chapter 4. Once out in the trees, we hear a noise, but turns out it's just Louis, who decided to show up to help us out. So to make our way home, we have to cross this broken down, dodgy looking bridge. But it's here where our undead singing Minnie shows up leading her own herd of walkers. And there is genuinely so many, and all I have is a bow. So we are done for, but I start to cover the rest of the group while they jump across the gap in the bridge. But that doesn't last long as Minnie attacks me with the axe, and then we wrestle for her gun. I eventually get the gun off her, but she slashes half my foot open with the axe. So I decide to finish this and shoot her in the chest. Finally, the walkers realise that she's not dead yet and start eating her. Cheers, guys. I then manage to jump across the gap with my fucked up foot. But 10 isn't leaving his sister. So AJ shoots him, so Louis will leave him and save himself. So the trio try to escape, but after Louise climbs this fence, we get separated so desperately, me and AJ fight our way to these rocks, and after making sure AJ gets up, I start climbing, but a walker managed to grab my foot and starts biting it. It's okay though, he only bit my boot, so AJ shoots them and I manage to climb up. I then check my leg and see that I've been bitten, firstly, then Kenny, and now Clem.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
So me and AJ start leaving the area. It's here where I get 1 trophy for AJ shooting 10, but I also reloaded the save and made him not shoot 10 to get the other trophy. I'll let this next bit play out.
I love you. Don't ever forget that.
I love you too, Clem.
After that emotional scene, we then made it back to the barn, but we are completely surrounded by walkers, so we just about managed to get inside while being chased. We are struggling to keep them out, and it's here where we play as AJ and use a pitchfork to block the door. Clem, just like Lee did, can't get up, so it's looking like the end of the line. But Clem has enough strength left to cover AJ while he seals up the rest of the barn from the walkers. But after this, it looks like history will be repeating itself with the main character dying. Let's just cry together at Clem's last moments. I then tell AJ to cut open the walker and cover himself in guts so he can escape. But just like Lee did, we tell AJ to kill us. But since we are out of ammo, he has to use the axe.
Oh, no.
This gets us the trophy for finishing Act 2 of Chapter 4. We then play as Clem in a flashback, and this is just after the end of A New Frontier, where she goes to find a younger AJ. Once we arrive, the place is a war zone, and we interrogate and then kill off a few people before we shoot this woman. We then find AJ in this room, but we load him into the car before we leave together, and this sets up the start of this game. We then get a trophy for rescuing AJ. Back in the present, we are playing as AJ, and we are spearfishing with Rosie. But we enter the hut and find our last collectible, which gets us another trophy. Once back outside though, we find Clem's hat, which I can't grab. But eventually Rosie manages to get it, thank goodness. But we then find a walker and turns it's 10, so we do what we have always done and kill him. We get another trophy for finding Clem's hat, so we then walk back to the school, and everything appears to be back to normal. Everyone's happy and in no danger. Let me just leave these fish off to Omar. Best ending ever, I genuinely am buzzing. I then try give Clem her hat back, but I think she's finally ready to give it to me. Clem then asks me the stupidest question ever. Obviously, I tell her, myself, that she'd done an excellent job because she did. So AJ and Clem then have one last great moment together before this game is complete.
So, thank you. For everything.
You're welcome for everything.
I then head back to our room and place the last collectible needed for a trophy, and then set down Clem's hat. Tom finish the game and get our last 2 trophies, one for finishing the game and the other being the platinum. So, everyone, that was the 4th and final game in the Walking Dead Telltale series, and what a journey it has been. Genuinely, some of the best narrative-driven games you will play. Especially the first one, it was fantastic. And also the characters were brilliant, so if you haven't played these games before, what are you doing? But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.